All right, so first of all, this case, I think I found it at Sportsman's Warehouse or Cabela's, I don't know. It's in the fishing tackle section. It's a waterproof organizer case, and I just thought it worked pretty well for a first aid kit, which is kind of nice. So in here, most of what I'm carrying is stuff for triage. So when horses get injured, I want to be able to kind of patch them up to get them back to the trailhead, and or if they get kind of colicky, I guess is the other big thing that I run into, especially if you changed up their feed or it's really dry, they're not getting enough water, whatever it may be, horses tend to colic. So kind of two separate categories of what I'm trying to treat for. One is like a laceration or a tissue wound of some kind, and the other one is more internal, I guess, if you will, to help get them over more or less colic, right? So we'll start with the colic one because that's a little quicker. So I carry a tube of Banamine paste, right? So this stuff here, you have to get it from a veterinarian. Happen to be friends with several equine veterinarians. They give it to me. You gotta be a little bit careful when using it, but in general, this is like basically a painkiller. So when horses colic, basically just means that they've got stomach pain. In short, that's what it means, right? That stomach pain could be caused for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it's a blockage. Sometimes they could get their guts kind of twisted up, but for some reason their intestines aren't passing stuff through like they should be. They're plugged up. It's causing them pain. Their muscles tend to tighten up, and that's usually what causes what you're seeing, right? Is their muscles are clenching up and they're not feeling well. A lot of times they'll start rolling on the ground. If you got a horse that's rolling a lot, that's usually a pretty good sign that something's wrong in there and they're trying to get it freed up. So what I found is a tube of this stuff. I also carry bute powder in here as well. That's more just like, think about it like General Advil, bute powder, even if I've got a horse that's kind of soft and I've been using them hard, right? And you know, their muscles are sore, etc. I'll give them some of the bute powder. But specifically, if I suspect a horse of colic, first thing I'm going to do is give them a dose of this stuff. And the paste here that I'm carrying in my first aid kit takes about an hour to get it fully working. I used to carry a little bottle of the IV injection, basically the same stuff, but you had to give it to them through an IV or through a shot in their vein. I just found that it was harder. You know, if I have somebody with me that's not used to doing that, the paste is pretty easy. You just stick it in their mouth, stick it down their throat, give it a squirt, and make them eat it. It just takes a little bit longer to work. So, and the whole idea is to get their muscles to kind of just relax. Basically, if they stop feeling the pain and they stop clenching up their stomach muscles, etc., you know, hopefully stuff will get moving through there. I also walk them around a lot. So first thing I do when I suspect a horse to colic, put your ear on the side of their belly, and you should hear, like on a normal horse or a mule, if you just walk up and just put your ear on their belly, you should hear gurgling and movement noises in there, right? That's normal. If you put your ear on their belly and you don't hear anything, you don't hear gurgling or fluid moving around, that's a problem. And that's a sure sign something's not going right. So I usually give them a shot of this stuff. If they want to roll around, that's fine. I'll let them roll, but don't just let them lay there on their side on the ground. Get them up, get them walking around, get them moving, right? You want stuff to get moved and work free, and let stuff, whatever that blockage is or whatever's causing the pain, get that to work itself out. And yeah, that's kind of the best thing to do for a horse that's colicking. As I mentioned, the other thing that I carry down in here is bute powder. So they make this in a paste form as well. I just tend to carry it in a powder format, and I'll just throw it on some. Usually I'm packing like I pack senior feed for my horses just because it's real high in fat and carbs and energy. But I pack a little bit of that. It just kind of has them molasses-based, and I'll sprinkle some of this on their feed in the morning to help to deliver this. So those are kind of the two internal medicine pieces. The last one that I take that kind of has to do with that is I carry this little thermometer and a couple of Ziploc bags. So a real quick way to tell if a horse is having sickness or issues is if they're running a fever, right? If they're running a fever, that's a good sign that they got something going on in there that needs to be looked after. So take a horse's temperature. This is just a little baby thermometer. I throw it in a Ziploc bag, stick it up their butt, right? Horses should be right around 100 degrees, like 99.5 to about 105, 101. If they're over 101, they're running a fever. And that's just a really quick indicator that something is going wrong. Something's wrong. They're fighting off some kind of infection or sickness or something's happening, and you probably should get out and get them looked at. So I carry that with me just to be able to check. All right, so everything else in this kit is really to deal with flesh wounds, cuts, scrapes, punctures, abrasions, things of that nature. And that's what I run into probably most common. You know, they get a rope burn or they get cut up somehow, and we got to deal with that, right? And keep it from getting infected until we get out. So that's what the rest of this is focused on. So a couple things that I put together that I think are really helpful. First of all is gloves. These are just medical gloves. I have a bunch of extra ones just down here in the bottom. That's to help keep, for yourself to wear, obviously, to keep blood or goop or whatever off of your hands, right? Next up, after putting your gloves on, we want to clean the wound somehow, right? So usually if I've got fresh water or something nearby, I'll do that to kind of clean the wound up. But if not, I do carry a bunch of these like antiseptic wipes or alcohol prep pads to kind of clean up the area the best that I can. In my first aid kit, my human first aid kit, actually, I do carry a bottle of saline solution that I can wash stuff out with as well. And then the next thing we're going to do is put some kind of ointment or something on there. So I carry kind of two different types. For small stuff, I carry this, it's just a first aid cream. You can think of it like Neosporin, right? So basically an antibacterial cream that you can kind of put on it. I do carry a little tube of that just because I had it handy. But my primary go-to thing is this Corona ointment. So this is this stuff works really well. The other thing that I like is the Vetrimycin gel. Also works really good. So I carry that in the tack room of my horse trailer. Either the Vetrimycin gel or this Corona ointment are kind of my two go-to creams that I'll spread on there. And usually, again, put a pair of gloves on because it's kind of greasy. Spread it on your hand, wipe it, cover the whole wound, get that stuff packed in there. That's going to help keep dirt and debris and things like that out of it. It's going to help protect the wound and kind of seal it up. And it's also going to keep the tissue nice and soft so it's not going to dry out and help promote healing. So I'm a huge fan of this stuff. You can get it in a couple different things. I like the squeeze tube that this here comes in. And then after that, we got to kind of dress the wound. So after I put that Corona ointment on there, I'm a big fan of these. You can buy them in a big kit. I think I even just bought these off Amazon. These are non-adherent pads. So they've got like a smooth surface on them where it won't like stick to the wound. It makes it really easy to change out the dressing. So I'll take one of these. You can cut them down if necessary. I do carry a little pair of scissors in here just for that. And I also carry a little pair of tweezers if I've got to pull branches or sticks or slivers or things out of there. I have a pair of tweezers in here. But I'm going to put that ointment on there. I'm going to slap one of these pads on, and that pad will help keep that ointment from leaking through. And then I'm putting padding on it is the next thing. So we're going to ultimately wrap that stuff with vet wrap, or Coban is what I've always heard it called in the medical industry. So I carry this stuff that's ultimately going to get wrapped around there, but this stuff is really easy to get over tight, and I want some padding on there so I'm not cutting off circulation on the horse's leg or whatever it is that I'm trying to do. So originally I always used to use this, I don't know, you can get it at the farm store in the medical section. I don't even know what it's called, but I used to use a bunch of this that I'd wrap around there for padding. But instead, I was talking to my vet a while back, and she actually recommended that I start using cast padding. So this is the padding that they put underneath a cast. Back when they used to, when you break your arm or something, they put a cast on it. And so you can buy them. They come in these little tubes, and this is just like a soft padding. And so I'll put that ointment on there. I'll put the non-adherent pad on. I'll wrap it in cast padding, a handful of wraps, and then go to my Coban or my vet wrap, and I'll wrap it with this. Again, not getting this too tight, just enough to hold it, right? And that's, after that, she's pretty well doctored up. The last thing that I do, because usually I'm in the backcountry and I still got to go down the trail, and it's, this Coban sticks to itself pretty well, but then I'll throw tape around the outside of it. So I carry a couple different types of tape here. This is a waterproof tape, but it has no stretch or flexibility to it. So in some instances where I don't really, I want to hold something tight, I do use this. Like if I cut my own finger or something like that, I'm usually wrapping this around it. But what I've switched to is this stuff here. It's a flexible adhesive tape. And so this stuff stretches kind of like the Coban does, but it's an actual tape and it sticks really well. So I'll take and throw a couple wraps of this around the outside, say if I'm doctoring a horse's leg. And that's going to help hold that Coban in place and keep it from coming off. And it works really, really well. So that's kind of the basics for what I'm doing to treat a wound or an injury. Obviously, if they get it up somewhere where you can't wrap it, it makes it a little bit harder, but you're still going to put the ointment on it. You're still going to try to get it cleaned out the best you can. The rest of it kind of stays the same. The last thing that I carry in here that is really just because, you know, I carry a first aid kit for ourselves if we get hurt, but just because I got a little bit more room in this kit, I do carry some just of these large either non-stick pads or extra bandages. I carry a bundle of safety pins just because these are kind of handy. You never know when you have to pick something out, you know, like even with myself, if I get a big sliver and I got to dig it out, that safety pin, you could take a lighter, I carry a lighter and some matches in here. You can burn the end to kind of sterilize it and use that to kind of pick a sliver out or whatever you need to do. So not so much for the horses, but just kind of extra supplies for myself or my buddies. I do carry those in here as well. All right, now that I've gone over kind of my horse first aid kit, I do want to make a short little clip just on what I carry in my saddlebags. And this is kind of my human first aid kit, if you will, that I put together. I did go out and buy this little case just because I think, you know, when you send somebody to go get a first aid kit, it's kind of nice when it's red and has a cross on it. They know what it looks like, rather than, so I think I paid like $6 for the case. But everything else in it's something that I put together. So this is the kit in a nutshell. I do like it because everything's kind of in these mesh compartments, keeps it nice and tight. So once again, my go-to medicine for the horses, I do carry a tube of Banamine in here for them, just in case I run into a horse that's colicky. And then I also carry some waterproof adhesive tape in there as well. Kind of the same thing. The main difference between my horse first aid kit and my human first aid kit is I do carry a lot of extra medicines and things like that. And just some more, I would say, small creature comforts when you're in camp. So for example, it's usually pretty dry. I tend to get hangnails and things like that a lot, which honestly just make your life kind of miserable if you've got one that's really bothering you, and it's really easy to fix. So I'll carry a little pair of fingernail clippers, some tweezers, some little things like that that I don't, you know, that just kind of help with creature comforts, right? So on this side of my first aid kit, this is mostly trauma-oriented stuff. So I've got Band-Aids and alcohol prep pads on the front. I do carry a couple needles. And then in the back is more of my trauma kit. So I'm carrying a pair of shears, medical gloves, large gauze pads, really for patching if somebody cuts themselves open or gets a pretty major wound. You want to be able to throw gauze on there and kind of stop the bleeding. And then I do also carry, these are sting first aid kits. So if you get a bee sting or something like that, they kind of help with that. Or so I carry that as well. And then just more gauze. So main difference between my gauze here and my gauze for the horses is all this stuff is, you know, medical grade. It's all completely sterile. Probably should do that for the horses, but I usually just do the first layer sterile with the horses and then just use that cast wrapping or gauze, kind of wrap their legs or wounds or whatever it may be. On the other side, this is more of my medication side. I do carry I think a Coban in here, just like for the horses, or the vet wrap. Works just as well on horses. And then the rest of these are mainly athletics tapes for blisters and things like that. And the rest of these are mainly medications. So they're small bottles, Advil. I got, what's this one? This is an allergy medication, antihistamine, essentially. And then I carry a bottle of saline solution down in the bottom, again, if you got to wash something out. More medical gloves. And then just because of the people I go with, I know if they have special medications they take. For example, my friend Jeff takes a blood thinner that he takes every day, just in case he forgets his medications. I have medications for all my friends in here as well. So I have Jeff's blood pressure medication and his blood thinner, whatever it is. I take a special medication every day that makes my life really miserable if I don't take it. I'm not going to go into that, but I carry extra ones of those in there. And then I also carry things like Tums and antacids and things like that. So this is more my pill side and my trauma side. Essentially, that's what I'm carrying in my personal first aid kit. All right, that's what I carry in my first aid kits, both for my horses and for humans. I hope you got something out of this. For those of you that were requesting it, I hope you find this helpful and you got what you needed out of it. If not, feel free to leave me a comment, any questions you may have. I know I didn't touch on every little thing I carry in here, but I think I tried to get the highlights for you. So hopefully you can put together a kit of your own and cover the basics to get you out of a jam if you ever need to.